You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Polk.
Woohoo!
What's up, Andy?
Shoe and show.
Why are you so excited?
Shoe and show.
I don't know. I just get excited about shoes, man.
I'm
just juiced.
You're juiced?
Remember the Grandmama juiced shoes?
Of course, man.
Exactly
Larry
like
Johnson,
that.
LJ,
That's right.
brother.
That's right.
Charlotte Hornets.
That was one of my first basketball shoes that I bought.
Converse.
Juice in the back.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I'm not really sure if it was like exactly product safety compliant.
Probably not.
Who knows what that gel was? And
But you can see it in the back.
It may have contributed to some kind of deformity to my brain. Obviously, we're not quite sure. The jury's still out on it.
They're
But
right
they were
here.
pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, the gel was in the back of it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I like those.
LJ, grandmama.
Those would still work.
It was
today.
innovative at the time.
Yeah.
And D. Brown had the pumps and all that
squeeze
kind
in
of
some
stuff.
weird gel in your shoes and it's innovative. Times have changed, brother. Times have changed.
But we've done a series and talked to a different number of people in the industry about innovation.
Yep.
And that's why I'm excited about this conversation we're going to have today, and a special guest that we're having today to talk a little bit about, I think mainly about the digitization of our supply chains and the design and development, how all that's changing and shifting. So Matt, who we got?
Man, we've got a brother from another mother, Scott Labby, who's a dear friend of our entire organization. He's Vice President Global Advanced Concepts at Wolverine Worldwide. He is kind of an innovation lead. He is all things. He's a musician. He actually has a much cooler life on his private side where he's like actually kicking out great music and having a lot of fun. So, Scott, we can't thank you enough for coming on Shoe In. It's actually taken us too long to get you on because we've been talking about these things collectively at events and over email and over phone calls for a long time. But we can't thank you enough for coming on Shoe In.
Yeah, it's great to be on the home with you guys. I'm excited to do some chatting. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. All right, brother. So let's dive right in. Tell us your shoe story, how long you've been at Wolverine, and kind of what's your day-to-day as you view it from your perch there up in Boston.
Yeah, so just recently came back on a 2-year tour of Asia as an expat for Wolverine, spearheading the PD organization, as well as advanced concepts and virtual innovations on that side of the ocean, through some changes and morphs throughout the organization. They decided to ship me back to U.S. Asia couldn't take me no more. And, and to kind of vet out a new updated structure on advanced concepts, leading the charge by U.S. but having a global leadership perspective. So basically, driving it from the U.S. but still having the tentacles and the if you will touch points and connectivity to Asia and the different elements and teams globally. So kind of a cool concept we're going with here, and able to embrace the digital front ends, other pieces of the digitization, as well as automation and other aspects of PD that is enjoyable, fun, and what wakes us up in the morning, right?
Yeah, it's all the exciting shuns, right? Digitization and innovation, and Wolverine is interesting because it's well over 100 years old, right, Scott? And it's got a stable brands, Ked, Stryrite, Saucony, Hush Puppy, Wolverine, Harley Davidson, Merrill, on and on. It serves a variety of different customers, almost at every price range and price point in every community here in the U.S. Imports in tens of millions of pairs of shoes every year, and then is globally competitive, selling shoes all over the world. And as you look at this from what you've been tasked to do on the digitization, we need to scrap that word.
Digitization. Today, Junior.
Same thing. Two edits now. Two edits.
So as we enhance our supply chains, how do you do that with so many brands, and how do you kind of steer all these ships in the right direction, if that makes sense?
Yeah, and then you add the complexity of multiple factories. So you have multiple factory bases. You have an operations team. You have multiple brands, all shifting with multiple distribution channels and consumers. So how do you take those broad strokes and finite them into, not necessarily one size fits all, but how do you customize that
Right.
to make it happen? Quite frankly, it's been extremely challenging, and we're getting there. We're not 100% there yet, but slowly but surely we are making massive moves, and I'd like to be proud of saying that we moved mountains over the past 24 months, and a few more mountains to move, but we're just about there. And how you do it is you first got to build out an infrastructure. What does that shape look like? What does the structure look like to put the digital front end in place? Because you have those touch points: operations, brands, finance, factories, and the consumer endpoint. Once you find out the secret sauce of building out that infrastructure, of course, you need buy-in from leadership, and you need the financial piece. And then, of course, last but not least, you need the talent. So you roadmap it, and with talent, leadership, the backing, finance, and a really good solid structure that works, you can make it happen. Now, we didn't break any rules in terms of how to develop product, just making it faster, and being able to use these digital tools to be more innovative. And you take the core principles from pattern making 101. So my background is pattern making. Back in the early 90s, I was a pattern maker for a small factory in Freeport, Maine, and learned a lot of basics about flattening pattern shells and trying to create designs from real fancy pants sketches on a 8.5 by 11 piece of white paper, and that was difficult to do. But fundamentally, you can do that same thing, following that same roadmap for the digital front end. And that's kind of how we piece it all together. You take the core basic principles, build an infrastructure in partnership with IT, resource, finance, good talent, good skills, and bam, you put together the plan, and without compromising the product integrity. I guess another part of the secret is making sure that you have brand alignment, leadership alignment, and again, the talent and skills that are on both sides of the ocean in order to make that happen, and alignment. So everyone's going to be pulling together in the same direction with a large team of people.
So basically, you needed a big stick to beat everybody into submission to get them all on the same page.
A baseball bat.
Exactly. I've kind of explain a little bit to folks out there who don't exactly understand digital front end. Like, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about 3D design, 3D printing samples? What kind of digitization are you guys looking at and implementing on the front end that is kind of accomplishing the whole idea of Wolverine Worldwide's way forward of digitizing the supply chain, and what are the benefits of doing that?
Sure. So there's a couple of ways you go about it, and that's, of course, if you want to talk from the more designer perspective. We have a few tools we're using on the 3D piece, and just trying to extrapolate what is going on in the designer's head and to be able to put that into a 3D environment, as opposed to traditional Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever methodology you use, old CAD CAM. So that's one piece. But another part, of course, is ensuring that you can take the engineering mindset and how do you build that out to platform eliminate interpretation and platform an engineering facet that will mimic and extrapolate the information from the digital file that was designed into a flat and into an engineering model. So that hence that goes also into the manufacturing world. How do you take those core shells and whatnot to integrate with automation? Whether it's stitching, marking, and all the fundamental elements that are in an automated world. So do it at the front end instead of reverse engineering automation into the back end, in which a lot of folks, including us, have been guilty of trying to automate after issues in mass production. But how do you build that out into the front end piece and capitalize on the whole digital world to do that for you, like you would back in the old days from pattern making 101, and working with key suppliers to make that happen. So kind of a long-winded response, but I think it's put it in buckets. It's from the design element, the engineering element, and the automation element.
Scott, one of the things you said at our materials summit in September last year, which we'll hold again this September, but one of the things you said when you presented there, which has stuck with me this entire since you said it. I can't say it very eloquently, but nevertheless, you talked about how we're moving to where the consumer is the ultimate designer, right? We're moving into that model, and talk to me about how all this, your initiatives and the digitization, how that all fits into the ultimate end goal, where companies will be relying on the consumers to be a designer on staff, essentially.
I mean, essentially, that's kind of where it's all going, whether we want to admit it or not, or whether that creates tension and fear and into a product creation team's world or not. I think the fact remains that customization is key, and not the old school customization that we've seen for several years, over a decade now, on websites where you can create your own shoe or create your own apparel. I think it's more of just allowing and integrating that mindset of that consumer to develop his or her apparel or footwear. We strongly believe in many cases that's going to be the future, even if it starts with little things like designing other versions of textiles digitally. With so much talent coming out of the schools right now, in that environment, in that scope of 3D and also customization, using technology against that, from textiles to engineering, we are probably only 3 to 5 years away from one of these industries embracing the customization piece, which puts a whole new scope of thinking around manufacturing, even where that manufacturing is going to happen, if that's the case. And if anyone's proven that to work, it's the model of, unfortunately, Amazon, to kind of bring them guys up. But I mean, they worked on that model of consumer centric, and that demand is happening. You put that into a design or a scope of thinking about consumer wants to own their product that's going to be telling their story of who they are. It's just a matter of time, and we have the tools now to do that in so many aspects of education right now. Is teaching and developing those tools for that. We'll blame it on the millennials, but that's what they're demanding right now. So it's just a matter of time.
Damn
millennials! Time when
millennials!
it's going to actually hit.
What you talked a little bit about the talent coming out of schools. You've been in Asia the past couple of years, trying to build up your product development teams and the digitization teams that are doing that. Digital Max Headroom. So maybe talk a bit about how you find the right talent, because some people may come from outside the industry, and I'm guessing you're just looking for the right skill set, and I guess you can teach them certain things. But how do you view kind of finding the right talent to fit in with what you're looking to do and how you're implementing these new systems?
Yeah. Well, first you need enablers that are going to, help push the envelope of innovations, which doesn't always have to be in a 3D world. It could be, the application of, it could be an innovation of process, or the mindset of how to re-engineer, retool kind of what's happening in today's environment. But I think what I've learned in the past couple of years in Asia is the younger generation coming out of those schools have a passion and conviction, and they're very enthusiastic about technology in general. And I don't think, my takeaway is, I don't think anyone coming out of those schools are fixated or dedicated to one specific industry per se, but just the paradigm shift of technology and innovations. Mm-hmm. They're just stoked to be part of it, whether it is, apparel, electronics, footwear. They just want to be part of it. And I think the passion right now, and again, the knowledge and the skill sets and the can-do or enabling attitude that's coming out of what I'm seeing, at least from there, is just amazing. It's something I never, have seen in my career or my short stint in college. I've never seen that kind of talent and, again, enabling passion coming out of the kids. So I think it's a talent that we're looking for is people that have that motivation and drive to think outside the four walls and try to put a square peg in a round hole, because I think that is the way that things are going to happen in the future. As a matter of fact, some of the talent that we're looking for in my specific team is anti-shoe, and that was kind of one of my campaigns, and got a few eyebrows raised. But I'm like, I want someone that doesn't even know how to spell shoe. I want someone anti-shoe. I really want someone that's going to think outside of the normal, traditional, conventional footwear mentality, because we already have thousands of employees that are already in that realm. They already have that experience.
Yeah,
they're already thinking as best as they can. But only way to stretch that is to really get someone that doesn't know nothing about shoes and really can embrace and understand technology, and again, be crazy about it. Not necessarily footwear, apparel, but it.
Right.
What is it? It is technology and innovations.
Yeah, it's not a scary clown in the sewer. It is technology and innovation. That's what it boils down to.
Yep.
Let me ask you this: when you try to integrate those folks, we see this all the time when there are generational shifts within corporations, the impact on company culture. How can a company best be suited to integrate this out of the box thinking, or someone who may not know how to spell shoe, using your example? What's the best way to streamline those folks into and be successful in a company culture that may have been built up over decades upon decades?
Good question, especially a company that's over 100 years old like ours. We have to embrace it, accept it, understand it, comprehend it, and I think our company has done a really good job at building out a few other teams that give us the intel and data behind who is out there, what the millennials are and who they represent. I think the better you understand the players in the workforce, better opportunities we all have to accept, understand, embrace, and give them some rein, give them some rope to do what they need to do to accelerate, amplify, and employ innovations, and again, whether that's in a 3D digital world or whether that's an invented process sketched out on a napkin. I guess the best answer is to embrace and understand that so that we can allow them to blossom and maybe even have that be infectious within our organization, which is key.
Yeah, that is key. And someone who is a musician as well and spends a lot of time having played in bands and writing music and being creative. My hope is that as you kind of figure out the path forward with Wolverine and as you're moving these initiatives forward, that provides another creative outlet for you, because I know composing music is a lot like doing some of the things you're doing at Wolverine. It takes time. You can have writer's block. You can not hit the right note. When you pull it together as a band, it doesn't always align itself. But when you do hit and you do come up with that tune and everyone loves it, it's something really special. So there's a lot of work that goes into that, but it's, as a musician, you have to appreciate the opportunity that you have as well. That's like a blank canvas at Wolverine for you.
And conversely, when you schedule a gig and no one shows up to your concert, same thing. Both. You got to take the wins and losses.
That happens to Matt every single night when he goes home.
That's true.
He's like, "Hey kids, nowhere to be found."
Yep, nowhere to be found. Yep.
Hey Scott, what's got you excited? What's some new technology that you guys are looking at, or some new process or something like that has piqued your interest over the last year, where you're just like, "Wow, that's super cool. Let's work on that," or let's figure out how to make that work?
Yeah, I mean, to keep it high levels without giving away the secret sauce, I think 4D is something I would need to start really digging in deeper with. That's just a crazy whole new paradigm. Augmented reality is, of course, a very huge part of industries, plural. That gets me really excited. Wearable technologies still gets me stoked, and I think other parts and pieces of soft printing is pretty exciting. Seeing a lot of great stuff out there. On my last trip to Asia just a couple of months ago, some really amazing things that come out of those soft printers right now. I know you're hearing a lot about it from our competitors out there, but that is just, we just scratched the surface of what we're going to be able to do as an industry very, very soon. And that is something I really want to be a part of, and I'm excited about the direction we're going in, so that we can, play in that playground and hopefully be leaders of that, along with just seeing how the industries themselves embrace it, as well as our consumers. So that's what gets me up in the morning.
Awesome.
So it's a good cup of Joe.
Yeah,
that's right, man. Some Dunkins.
Drink up that innovation.
And some rock and roll. Exactly.
Dunkies, innovation, rock and roll. The way forward.
Oh, that's awesome. With that, we got to transition out of this over to Jasmine, because she's going to bring us into our next segment, which is the "What You Got, What You Gonna Get" segment.
Okay, so today I have on some of my favorite pair of cool Hans. They're the 0 grand ones. I love those. But what I'm getting is a pair of Kids, because I used to wear Kids all the time, and there's some really great like baseball inspired ones. They have like leather shoelaces. Yeah. They have like they're off-white canvas, and they have red stitching just like a baseball all throughout them. So they're super fun. So I can't wait to buy a pair of those. And they're only $50.
I know all about those shoes. Yeah, good price, good value, great shoes. Love that brand. Brand's good, been around for a long time. Good vintage brand. So glad to see you're wearing. We're gonna be wearing some Kids.
Yes.
You know what movie they were on?
What movie?
Name that movie from the '80s. Name the movie from the '80s where Kids got huge from.
You know that one? No, they were.
She was born in the 90s.
Patrick Swayze.
Oh yeah, it's my wife's
house.
Dirty Dancing.
Dirty Dancing, my wife's favorite movie.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Roadhouse.
Ghosts? Ghosts? Anybody?
I did watch Ghost 2 movie.
No.
Ghost 2. Kids are back. All right, Scott. Now you know the drill. What you got?
Kinvara, Saucony Kinvara.
Nice.
You'll never guess what's on my right foot. My right foot, you'll never guess.
A cast.
An air cast.
Nice.
So I got the air cast on the right foot. Yeah. So I look like a stormtrooper.
That's awesome.
That's trying to learn how to run.
You're like, it's like, is it a Nike air cast? Is it made out of Nike airbags?
No. It's good question though. I'm sure it's some kind of Asian technology, because I do believe this was not made in USA. But it's an air cast with some air foam in it, and I can look like a stormtrooper with lots of Velcro, and it goes nicely with my size 10 Saucony Kinvaras.
That's awesome. Well, what you gonna get?
What am I gonna get? I think I'm gonna also, not to jump on that bandwagon of Saucony, but I'm gonna get probably some Saucony Shadows.
Oh, nice.
Some Shadows, good classic Saucony shoe. It's springtime, hopefully soon. Coming up with our misery weather we have here. But yeah, Saucony's happening on my future to-do list as well.
Awesome. Andy, what you got?
Got bare feet, brother. I'm
bare
from North
feet.
Carolina.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
how we do it.
What you gonna get? Shoes.
You know what? It's starting to turn to springtime, so maybe some Birkenstocks or something like that.
That'd be nice.
I wore Birkenstocks religiously for many, many years during college.
With your hemp necklace?
No. Well, maybe actually.
You're such a hippie.
Should have seen his face. Like,
hey,
no.
Scott, not all who wander are lost, okay, brother?
Exactly.
What you gonna get? Oh, Bergs, we already did that. You were barefoot.
Everybody forgets about me. They push me into the corner, push me in the back into the closet.
All right, what do I got? I got these blue Sperry's that are canvas upper, then they're laceless, which they're really cool. I like those.
Awesome.
You just slide them on and off you go.
Right.
I want to get some Saucony Originals. I have a pair of Saucony Originals, but I just checked the website, and there's a ton of great colorways from the original. I love the original.
Jazz?
Yep, the Jazz. Yep. So
my Jazz are somewhere in London.
Oh yeah, you left him there.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Bummer.
I forgot it.
That sucks.
That's all right.
All right, well with that, let's close this show out.
The price points on the Jazz are actually really good.
They are good.
Oh, what's this?
We're gonna close.
They're great.
We're gonna
They're
close this show out with a little Scott Labby. He probably can't hear it, but we are rocking one of Scott's songs yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Scott, congrats on the promotion recently, the ability to stay back in the U.S., on the music, on all this. It's really
And
exciting.
thanks for all your help in helping us understand some of these trends taking place.
Excellent. Well, hey, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the next FDRA event. You guys rock, and see you guys soon.
All right, thanks,
on.
brother.
Folks, this is Shoe and Show. We are covering the ins and outs of the footwear industry on all things footwear, trying to peel back the layers of the business side of the industry. If you have any comments, questions, if you have topics you'd like us to discuss, please hit us up on Twitter, Facebook. We're at Shoe and Show. You can find us on the internet, shoeandshow.com. And as always, thank you for listening. Continue to listen as we talk about our ever-changing industry and ever-changing innovations that are changing the way we do business. Until next time, keep rocking. This is Shoe In, and we are out!
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.